Keep in mind that what am I about to say comes from someone that likes Zenless Zone Zero. Does Zenless Zone Zero respect my time? I would say so, but maybe it's because I treat this game as a side game and not really as a main game. And let me explain. I don't have any type of issues with the gameplay. Like, I remember I made a video last year talking about stuff like I had issues building up my characters and playing out with my characters, and it was very hard, and I feel like the characters would have a lot of HP. Those things were a skill issue. I made a new account, I paid attention to the story and the guides, and eventually that solved it out well, and I don't have any type of issue with the gameplay. The gameplay is fun, the combat is fun, the characters are fun to play, all of them, to be honest, like even those that I don't like the character design, because let's be honest, some character designs are very questionable, but I'm not gonna judge you for them, I just don't like them, you know? And there are characters, I would say a lot of the characters that are in this game, I don't really like the visual style, and you will tell me like, why are you playing a gacha game that you don't like a lot of the characters' visual style? The thing is, like, the characters that I do like, I really like them, and that's pretty much it. It's just that my scope of characters that I enjoy, it's very narrow compared to other gacha games that I play. And this is not something bad from the game, it just has a lot of diversity, but that doesn't mean I have to like all of them, you know? Then, about the narrative, I feel like this is the point that other Zenless Zone Zero fans can help me with, because I feel like I'm wasting my time trying to learn the narrative. And the thing is, like, I'm a person that enjoys and plays and follows through the narrative of Kingdom Hearts, and if you know that narrative, it can be childish and very complicated, right, to understand, especially if you are trying to explain it to someone that never played one of those games. With Zenless Zone, I'm having the similar issue of, I like the premise, I like what you are trying to tell me, but I feel like the game, especially on the start, because I think this is something that it's solved out in chapter 3 if I'm being honest, but in chapter 1, which is the part that I'm currently at, I feel like they take so much time to tell you stuff that they could just condense in a few sentences. And you could say that, well, why don't you just skip cutscenes and read the text that is when you're skipping cutscenes? And the thing with that thing in particular, in chapter 1, I feel like that text is very vague and very confusing, because one thing that I would do a lot while starting the story all over again was press the skip button, read the text and say, this is kinda vague, let me just sit through the cutscene just in case. And I'm glad that I sit through the cutscene just in case, because they will say and drop important parts of the narrative, or what it feels at least important parts of the narrative, right? So when I sit through them, I'm not sure what am I gonna encounter. If I'm gonna encounter the cutscene that is a hihi haha nekomara nyan nyan, or a cutscene that is gonna throw me the most insane lore beat that I'm gonna hear about this game in the next 5 years. It's just that weird, you know? And the thing is, like, I feel like there isn't really a good separate way to tell which cutscene is important or not, at least in chapter 1, if I want to understand what's going on with the story either, because you have the comics, you have the cutscenes, and you have the visual cutscenes, and the visual cutscenes is a gamble, and if there weren't so many of them, I wouldn't be complaining as much as them, because I want to get into the story, but at least on the start of the story, I just feel impossible to retain my attention and my interest with this type of cutscenes. And in chapter 3, there is something very particular, that because when you make a new account, at the halfway from chapter 1, you get recommended, if not obligated, I don't remember how this part, okay, so I'm sorry about that. You get to watch the recap of chapter 3 of what happens, I think, at the end of chapter 2, if I'm not mistaken. So I tend to not watch those things unless the game tells me to do, and I did, and eventually I was a bit lost, not as lost as I thought I was gonna be, but all these problems that I complain about, the storytelling from the tiny bit that I played from chapter 3, I think they were pretty much suffice. I just wish, I guess, that they were like go backwards and try to make the game more interesting for new people that wants to play the game, you know, at least the narrative wise. That's what I suggest if they want to bring out new players to get into this story. Now, when it comes to get characters, is it stingy, is it generous? I have no clue. I'm gonna be honest, I have no clue. And this is because like when you start a new account, you don't happen to know the scope of the stuff that you can do because they are not only locked, they don't even appear in your account. So if there are more events, more quest lines, and well, more zones eventually, and those zones have even more quests and more storylines and more events and mini games and etc, etc, I don't know. And since I don't know, I cannot really tell you that yes, by playing just the story, I can get at least 2 characters from the banner per patch. I don't know. But on a strong point of the game is that I personally don't really care about pulling up for much characters, and it's not really because of the character design, it's more about the fact that I actually really enjoy the characters that gives you in the story. I like Billy, Nicole, Ambi, and Pyrios. I like those characters and I have fun playing with those characters. So if I can complete the content that I have with only those characters, I'm content. And so far, after paying attention to how the game plays and works and build up my characters properly, I would say, maybe not properly, but you know, the most optimal that I could think of, I can clear up all the content that I have been doing so far. So if it's generous or not, it's not a huge issue for me because I actually enjoy the characters that they already gave me. And I'll be honest, I also enjoy characters that I played in the trials, right? That's why I'm still pulling up for them either way, especially if I do like the character design. But I just don't really have the huge rush to pull up for characters because, as I said, the ones that they gave me, they are fun enough. And this is something that I cannot really say much about other gacha games. Usually, like, I don't tend to like not even the character design of the starter characters, not even how they play, but in this case, it's very different and very unique, and I really like them, so I'm more than content with those regards. And the one tiny thing that I'm gonna bring up is that I hate the 50-50. Like I mentioned this already in the Wuthering Wheels video. If you want more reasons about it, you can go watch that video. That's it. You're not gonna convince me otherwise. I can understand the reasons. Hating the 50-50 doesn't make me hate the game. That's all I wanna say, because I've been reading comments that think that just for me hating one aspect of the monetization and not even the monetization entirely automatically means that I hate the game. No, I don't. I just hate the 50-50 and that's it. And then there are other things, for example, like doing dailies that I'll be honest, I feel like it takes more time to load the game than to actually do the daily, so that is a huge time saver. I'm not sure how happy they are, the people that are current. Personally, I believe from what I have been doing so far, I enjoy the game enough to keep playing it, despite some of these, I wouldn't call them issues, but complaints that I have with the game. And at the end of the day, I think that's more important than to worry about if the game is generous or is not generous, more than if it respects my time as a player, is that am I having fun with that time that I'm spending in the game? I would say so. Like, to be honest, I just enjoy playing the game and that's it. And I consider that it respects my time because at the end of the day, I feel rewarded when I play the game. Like, I can still earn currency to pull up for characters. I'm not even sure if I'm gonna get those characters, but as I mentioned, it's not the most glaring issue for me because I already have characters that I enjoy. So at the end of the day, personally, I feel rewarded. Do I treat it as the thing that I wanna main and I wanna play only Zenless Zone and I wanna reach with the community all the time? No, maybe not. Maybe it doesn't hype me all the time, but I don't think that's precisely a negative. It's just that I enjoy playing when I play, and that's pretty much it. I enjoy being a casual in this game and not having to worry about stuff like the endgame and farm farming and such, because at the end of the day, it's a hack and slash game that has a lot of quality, it has a lot of polish, and it has a ton of characters that I like and a ton of other characters that I don't like. But instead of complaining on how they look all the time, I'm just gonna be like, well, I'm just not gonna pull for them, and that's it. That's pretty much what I wanted to say about Zenless Zone Zero. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I didn't drag a lot about the story, but if you reach this part of the video, just tell me, I don't know, start with a comment with CCC, so I will know that you've been watching this video till this part. Either way, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace out.